What's up guys, Mitchell Watts, Town & Country TV. Today I've got an extremely exciting video for you. We are comparing the 2017 Ford Expedition, which now looks like a dinosaur, compared to this, the 2018 Ford Expedition.
You have a phone call on line 1.
Huge shout out to Ford Motor Company for sending this pre-production prototype to our dealership to train us on the new Expedition, and that way we can relate all of that information back to you guys, our viewers. So we hope you enjoy this video, and this is going to be a lot of information covered in a very short period of time, so let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it. The new Expedition is going to be a lot more expensive than the previous version. In fact, the Platinum Max model, the four-wheel drive, runs up to $85,000. But once we get through showing you all the differences and the changes and things like that Ford has made to it, you'll see that this vehicle has got a lot of value to offer. Now, we know you guys are probably going to ask, but the ordering banks are open on these Expeditions, so you can reach us right there. The phone number's on the screen. You can place the orders now. They'll build in October, and you should have them shortly thereafter. The new Expedition starts at $52,000 and goes all the way up to $85,000 if you round it up. Now, if you compare that to the numbers that I've got right there on the screen, you can see that is right in line with a lot of the competitors that are in this segment. Let's talk about the trim levels. This is the Limited Max model. So in the previous version of the Expedition, it was the Expedition and the Expedition EL for the longer. Now it's called the Expedition and Expedition Max. So the Max is now the new EL. This one happens to have an electronic limited slip differential, which is brand new for the 2018 Expedition, and that is an option on this truck as well. I want to talk to you a little bit on the outside. Let's just kind of walk around, show you what it looks like. The belt line is actually a little bit higher than the previous Expedition. The windows are a little bit shorter, and that makes the truck look a lot bigger, makes it look a lot taller and a lot more masculine, but yet feminine at the same time, so everybody's going to be happy to drive this truck. This is the very first time the Ford Expedition is completely refreshed from the ground up. I'm talking about a clean sheet in 21 years. That's right. The Expedition has had some major refreshes, but has never been a clean sheet like this. So the first thing you'll kind of notice on the outside of the truck is that the belt line has been moved up higher, which makes the whole truck look taller and longer, and they've actually squashed the windows down, but yet they did not sacrifice visibility. We'll show that to you here in just a minute. You can see this truck has got 20-inch wheels. 22-inch wheels signify that the vehicle has the CCD, the continuously controlled dampening system. Oh my goodness, there's so many acronyms. I'm trying to remember them all. But yes, this one has got the 20-inch wheels. It is a four-wheel drive, and it is the Max, so it's the longest wheelbase that you happen to have. And here we are at the engine. This is the only engine available in the new Expedition. That's a 3.5 EcoBoost. This is the second generation of the EcoBoost, and you can see all of the horsepower and torque numbers listed right there on the screen. Once again, the normal Expedition and the Platinum do have two different versions as far as horsepower and torque, but as you can see, the Ford tops just about everybody in all of the horsepower and torque, and then we're comparing against bigger V8s, and we're looking at a 3.5 EcoBoost. Let's talk a little bit about towing as well. This vehicle, if it did not have the Max Trailer Tow package, or I think I worded it a little differently, so I'll put it on the screen, but the heavy-duty trailer tow package, there we go. If we didn't have the heavy-duty trailer tow package, this car will tow 5,000 pounds. With that tow package, it goes all the way up to 9,300 pounds on the regular length and 9,000 pounds on the Max version, because obviously that vehicle is a little heavier, and so it does affect the towing slightly. Now, the fuel economy has not been released on this vehicle yet, the official numbers, but our trainer did say that just kind of cruising around town on the highway 70 miles an hour, because of that 10-speed automatic transmission, he was getting roughly 22 miles per gallon. Those are unofficial numbers, but if they're anywhere close, that's impressive for the biggest, baddest four-wheel drive Ford Expedition that they make. Coming behind the truck, you can even see that everything is completely different. It looks very much like a Tahoe in the back, looks like an Explorer in the front, and it looks like a mix of different things on the side of the vehicle. But technology is really where they have stepped up their game in the new Expedition. So you have a different style of a key, you have the hands-free lift gate, It's got a lot of different technology that Ford has really put into play on this truck. And as you can see, this particular vehicle has got a lot of cargo space in the back. This floor is actually 6 inches lower than the competitors, the Tahoe, and the reason is because this truck happens to have an independent rear suspension. The Tahoe has a live rear axle, which requires a higher floor to make room for the springs and things like that. So you've got plenty of cargo storage. You actually have a cargo management system underneath here, and a lot of different things you can do there to control it. So the story goes, the car is loaded up with a whole bunch of people, and you say, you know what, now I need to go run to Home Depot. You can actually recline from the very, very front of the vehicle. You can actually fold down the headrest from the front seat. So if nothing else, your kids are in the third row and they're misbehaving, you can pop them in the back of the head with the headrest. But the nice reason that you can do that is you can fold those down if you need to see out behind that third row without actually having to get out of the vehicle and control it from there. That was the reason the Ford did that. Now, the other nice part that you have is all of the controls for both second and third row seats are going to be right here. So what you have here is you have your third row seat where you can fold that down. You can fold the left one, or you can press the middle button and it folds both of them at the exact same time. Those are power fold, and they also power back up. Now, the other nice part about it is you also have the controls of the second, boom, all from back here. You know what, if I want the middle one to go down as well, there you go. So for literally just one set of controls, you can control all of your cargo management and not have to press a single button. Very, very smart engineering on Ford's part. So I hadn't met the engineer, but if I did, I would definitely shake their hand. Let's come on to the second row. I'm going to show you another thing that you might like to know about this truck. Now, unfortunately, the third row seat is power folding back up. The second row is not. You have to actually physically lift it just like I just did there. So you have to do that, but it does power down automatically. Now, the other nice part that I want to show you is how easy it is to get in the third row. So you can fold the seat down and fold it forward and all that kind of stuff, but there's a new way to get into that third row seat. I'm 6'3" for reference, and you literally can slide it forward. The reason that's important is because you can actually slide it forward with the car seat still intact in that second row, and you can still have people getting into that back seat. Now, we mentioned to you that the load floor on the back is actually 6 inches lower than the normal Tahoe, and because of that, I'm 6'3". I have headroom, and my knees are not up into my chest like they are in the Explorer and then also in the Tahoe. So you've got plenty of room right here to sit in the third row seat, and as Josh, if you'll slide that seat back forward, you can actually slide the seat forward to give myself a little bit of room. So as you can see, you can adjust that so that way everybody has the appropriate amount of leg room. And one other thing you want to compare to it is this vehicle has best-in-class second legroom, third row legroom, and it has 12 inches more legroom than the current generation Tahoe. So some pretty good selling points there. Next up, let's talk about the DVD headrest. This is not a normal DVD player system. So you can drop a DVD in each one of these sides, and you do have the screen here, but that's not all. This system actually has a live Sling player built inside of it. So if you've got Sling TV at your house, you can actually watch what you're watching at home right here using Ford's Wi-Fi hotspot that's built inside of the vehicle, which is actually very reasonable. So for $20 a month, you have unlimited amount of data on a month-to-month basis. And the reason that's pretty cool is because you can stream as much video as you want right here, and you don't have to worry about breaking the bank. And the other thing is there's no activation fee and there's no cancellation fee, and it's month-to-month. So if you decide you've got this whole setup and you don't want to pay for it every month, but you know what, in August I'm going to go take a vacation with my kids, you know what, I can turn it on for that 1 month, pay the $20, they have unlimited data for going down to the beach, and then when you get done, just cut it back off. You don't have to pay for it all 12 months out of the year. So it's a very nice feature that you only pay for it when you really need it. Before we move on to the next thing, I did want to talk to you a little bit more about the system. You actually have an HDMI in plug, you have a USB plug, you even have a SD card slot. So if you've got media or movies saved on any of those forms of media, you can play them right there on the screen, no hassle, no issues. Now the next thing I want to talk about is that you have the fact there are 7 USB ports throughout this vehicle. So that way people can plug their iPhones in or their Androids in. And we have 1 of these, and we have 4 DC ports to go along with that. So everybody's got power in this truck. All right, so since Since this vehicle is shared with the F-150 and the F-250, the cab and the interior, you're going to see some cues that come over from those vehicles, such as you have the glove box right here. You have a normal glove box, but you also happen to have the Super Duty style secondary glove box that comes right there from the top. So pretty neat stuff there. Now you also happen to have some other features that will look very similar, like the center stack right here. You'll notice the steering wheel looks very similar, things like that. You do have the B&O premium audio system, 1100 watts. A whole lot of speakers throughout this thing, and it sounds amazing. You owe it to yourself to listen to that in person. That's not going to transfer well over the video. Now, since this particular vehicle is a four-wheel drive, you do have two knobs down here. You have the transmission knob that's located up front, and then you have the drive modes, which is located right behind that. So from here, you can just say, I'm going to turn on four-wheel, all-wheel drive. You can adjust the drive modes, and on the screen, it shows you all of the different modes that you have. Now, the reason that Ford did that is because they figured on the F-150, you have a manual switch. With the Expedition, you might have some people that need four-wheel drive that don't know exactly how they need to set up that four-wheel drive system, so they've made it easy with just simple drive modes. Before we move on, I want to talk back on the transmission for a second. So the F-150 has an actual shifter. They don't have that in this. They actually put the turn dial here so that way it opens up some extra space in the center console. Now, the other nice part about it is you do have, I'm in reverse right now, you have the paddle shifters. Instead of paddle shifters, you actually have the plus and the minus. And then let's say you're in reverse and you wanted to slam it in drive. All you have to do is twist the knob all the way to the right and it puts you in drive. They selected the manual mode as a physical button so that way you don't accidentally put it in manual when you go from reverse all the way over to drive. Just kind of simple, small things like that Ford paid attention to that really makes a difference in this truck. This particular vehicle has dual climate control, and one thing that I like about it, it has the digital readout right there on the knob itself, whereas on the F-150 you actually happen to look at the screen to see what each zone is temperatured at. So it's very nice that they have included that inside of the knob. Next up, let's talk about the wireless charger. Slide it forward. You happen to have the wireless conductor, so you can actually wirelessly charge your Samsung or maybe your future iPhone 8, depending on what they come out with there. A lot of different options. You can wirelessly charge it there. Two more of those USB ports that we talked about earlier. And then you also happen to have your cup holders. You have 15 bottle holders within the entirety of this vehicle, so a lot of different options there across the board. All right, next up, let's talk about some of the technology that comes on this. This is probably everyone's favorite feature, and that's auto start stop. So as this vehicle has a 3.5 EcoBoost, and you can see the horsepower and torque numbers right there on the screen. A little side caveat there is the Platinum model actually has more horsepower and torque than the other 3.5 EcoBoost. But let's not get off on a tangent there. Let's talk about this auto start stop. You automatically get in the car. It will automatically come to a stop at stoplights or whenever the vehicle comes to a complete stop. When you let your foot off the brake, the engine cranks back up, trying to save you some fuel there. If you drop the vehicle down into manual mode, notice that it automatically turns that auto start stop off, or you can just do that by tapping the physical button right there. It automatically turns on every single time you get in the vehicle for the EPA's sake. They have to do it that way, otherwise they have to recertify the vehicle. Another couple buttons that you'll have here, this vehicle has lane departure assist. So if the camera that's up here in the windshield, if it detects that you're leaving the lane, it can actually vibrate the steering wheel and drive you back in the lane just in case you do that. This vehicle also happens to have the adaptive cruise control with stop and go, which means the vehicle can come to a complete stop and resume itself without having to hit anything on the gas or the brake pedal. Those controls are located right there where you can control the gap between you and the vehicle in front of you. Another nice feature that you'll happen to have is the hill descent control button, especially on the FX4 and the four-wheel drive models, which is what this one is. And speaking of the FX4, it comes with a lot of really off-road duty features and specifications, and one of my favorite features is these wheels. As you can see on the screen, they are absolutely beautiful, and I'm kind of curious to see what that thing's going to look like. That FX4 is only going to be available on the XLT in the 202A equipment group. So we've got a lot of people walking around this vehicle because, once again, we just got through with training on it. We have a lot of people digging in it, so don't mind them that are behind me. But I want to talk about my next point, and that's going to be these little rails right here. Originally speaking, they were going to have these rails that were going to come all the way down, but they didn't want to do that so that way you could tie some things to it. the other concern that they had is that you could see straight through it. So if you look at this Expedition, you can see pure sky between the rail and here. To fix that, Ford actually engineered the roof line to actually come up, so that way when you're standing next to the vehicle, the roof line comes up, so that way when you're looking underneath the railing, it doesn't look cheap. It looks like it's a solid piece of metal, or it looks like it's just built in together. So it's the small attentions to detail that Ford was really put together on this new Expedition. And there you have it. That is our walkthrough of everything that we know about the 2018 Ford Expedition. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. We greatly appreciate it. And if this is your first time on our channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the little notification bell that is located right by there. If you'd like to follow me personally on Instagram, my handle's right there on the screen. It's Mitchell S. Watts. And we've got that link down in the description again. If you have any questions, comments, things like that, leave those in the description below the description. Thanks again for watching Town & Country TV. I'm your host, Mitchell Watts. Have a great day.